Hey everybody, Daniel. Wanted to do a video back on December 18th, but did not. Wanted to do a video on December 19th, but did not. So I'm doing one today, and I'm playing catch up. I have a couple of videos that I posted on those days that were card show recaps, but I had wanted to do a video on the 18th for Ty Cobb, with that being his birthday, and one on the 19th for Kaline, with that being his birthday, but I just didn't. I'm sitting in bed on the 18th and I'm watching THA Card Stories video on Ty Cobb going, I meant to make a video. I enjoyed THA Card Stories video about Ty Cobb and love the connection there with Tyrus. Anyways, so here's a catch-up video and maybe a little bit of a rant at the end, so stay tuned. I've been wanting to do and thinking about doing a separate channel where I do baseball birthdays, and so this has kind of been on my mind. So I had been looking at, whose birthdays are coming up, and I had seen that Ty Cobb was on the 18th. I just finished the book that's in the background, Ty Cobb, A Terrible Beauty, and I thought, oh, this is perfect, I can share a couple of cards and share some stories there. And again, I forgot, but we're playing catch up. So let me show a couple of Ty Cobbs that I have, and then I'm going to share a couple of stories from the book. Again, these are, all modern Ty Cobb cards. Not very flattering. I think that's a headshot of a picture of him sliding. You got Ty Cobb there with Curtis Granderson. They both played for the Tigers. That's kind of where the comparison ends, in my opinion. I like that card. I like that photo of Cobb. It's for the first class of the Hall of Fame. And Ty Cobb was the first member elected into the National Baseball Hall of Fame. He had the highest percentage of votes among the original 5. Couple of Cobb with the 71 design. You can see his unique stance and, where his hands are spread apart. If you're like, man, that's a cool photo, but I wish they had a full length shot of him with that. Well, there you go. So. Then I always like these. These are from 92 Score, and they did, the first 5 in the Hall of Fame as well, but this is all memorabilia from the Barry Halper collection related to Ty Cobb. All right, so then the one card down here that I have for Ty Cobb is this Sweet Spot bat card. So Upper Deck Sweet Spot, I think it's, the year, maybe 2001, I think. Anyways, this is, I love this card. I love the design for one, but it also is the card that kind of started it for me when it comes to the 3000 Hit Club bat card collection, and then the 500 Home Run Club bat card collection that I have. So I actually got this card, I remember, in an auction that my LCS had. So this particular LCS, this was years ago. This was probably like 2001. No, it would have been 2002. But they rented out the space next door, which was like a huge area, and did this big auction. And this was one of the cards. They had tons of stuff, but this was one of the cards. I remember I got it for $75, and was happy to pay for it. Now, at the time, I had a booth at the card shop. So I was selling cards at the card shop, and I just had them take it out of my my check for that month. I just remember it was $75, and I bought a couple other things at the time at that auction. I bought a framed Jason Kidd signed shirt, which I had no interest in the actual shirt. It was that it was framed really nicely. And so I used the frame and framed a Ken Griffey Jr. jersey, signed jersey. So I have a framed Ken Griffey Jr. jersey that's sitting over top of a Jason Kidd signed shirt. Anyways, but yeah, this card, it prompted in me the thought, the desire to collect a bat card of everyone in the 3000 Hit Club. And then once I finished that, I did the 500 Home Run Club. So there's only one player, Cap Anson, that is a member of the 3000 Hit Club that does not have a bat card. But everybody else has a bat card, and so I have one of those. Anyways, let me tell you a couple of stories from the book that I thought were just fascinating. So the author does a good job of really kind of humanizing Ty Cobb in a way, and taking away some of the previous, perhaps, misperceptions about Cobb. Okay. I think that some authors had portrayed Ty Cobb in a very negative way to increase their book sales. I'm just, again, based on kind of what I've heard, what I read here. There's a documentary put out by the folks that run the Ty Cobb Museum in, I think, Royston, Georgia. But, this author does a great job, like I said, in providing the facts and talking about some of the other accounts of the same incident. But anyways, again, I think part of it is just that it was a different time and place. We're talking about 100 years ago. Between when Cobb started playing to when he finished, we're about 100 years ago, and it was just a different time, a different place. One of the things early on in the book, it's just kind of setting the table for this time period. But it says, in the early 1900s, several black eye repair shops operated along New York's Bowery, their proprietors offering to gingerly apply makeup for a fee of 5 or 10 cents to facial discolorations incurred at the many nearby taverns. So, it was very common at that time to settle a disagreement with their fists, which is, I think, something that we don't think about today. Like, that's not common. That's not something that the average person would do today. And well, while it may not have been extremely common back then, it was way more common than it is today. As this fact that there were stores set up with the sole purpose of applying makeup to bruises so that presumably their spouses wouldn't notice right away that they had been in a fight. Again, so it was just a different time and things were handled differently. Now, the other story that I found, again, fascinating is directly involving Ty Cobb. And so let me go ahead and read here. This drama unfolded on the evening of June 20th, a Saturday, after a game in which Cobb had walked twice in 4 times up as the Tigers beat the visiting Senators 1-0. Arriving home from Navin Field with Washington manager Clark Griffith, Walter Johnson, by then a close friend of Cobb's, and several other Senators players who said opponents did not fraternize so much during those days. He found his wife, Charlie. So Charlie is Ty Cobb's wife, just to be clear. He found his wife, Charlie, upset over an argument she'd had with one William Carpenter, proprietor of the Progressive Market on nearby Hamilton Boulevard. She had called the merchant to say that a small piece of fish she had bought from his shop appeared spoiled. We don't know how he had responded initially, but his tone was not friendly, and when she replied that owing to his attitude, she would not be shopping with him again, he said, "I'm glad of it, because I don't want your trade." It was only a few minutes after Charlie told this story that Cobb was standing in the Progressive Market with a .32 automatic revolver. Pointing to the telephone with his gun, he told Carpenter that he should call Miss Cobb and apologize. This much was done, but just as he was hanging up and Cobb was calming down, one of the store's butchers, Carpenter's 20-year-old brother-in-law, Howard Harding, walked in, saw what was happening, grabbed a meat cleaver, and ordered Cobb to leave. It's not clear whether he recognized his famous customer, but Cobb said he seemed to want trouble and I gave him what he was looking for. After handing his firearm to a bystander, a teenage boy who worked in a neighboring store, he went outside with Harding and began trading blows. Cobb soon had Harding down on the sidewalk and was about to hit him again when Carpenter intervened, closely followed by the police, who led both combatants into a paddy wagon for transportation to the Behune Avenue station. They were released later that evening. Again, a different time. I can't fathom something like that happening today with again, perhaps at the time, the most famous, the most well-known baseball player in the world. Anyways, fascinating read. I think I've said fascinating like 5 times, but it truly was a great book. So Ty Cobb, A Terrible Beauty. I highly recommend it. Okay. So the 18th was Ty Cobb's birthday. The 19th, Al Kaline's birthday. I want to show off my 1954 Topps Al Kaline rookie card. Love this card. Picked it up from an LCS maybe about, I think I got it last year, 2021 time frame. So, great card, great player. Happy belated birthday, Albert William Kaline. Born December 19th, 1934. All right. And then today, December 20th, happens to be the birthday of David Wright. Okay. So you have these, I picked these cards because how popular was David Wright back in 2006? I'm not even sure if this is all his cards, but you have his base card from the top set. You have his All-Star card from the update set. He was on this Classic Duos card with Cliff Floyd. Another Classic Duos card with Paul LaDuca. And then he was on the Mets team leader card with Tom Glavine. So, again, David Wright, born on 12/20. Also born on 12/20 is Gabby Harnett. So, Hall of Famer Gabby Harnett. All right, so here's where the rant comes in. Again, I've been looking at birthdays, and so you get to see a list of players born on a specific date, and you can sort it by all sorts of different things. But one of the things that I've been sorting it by is WAR. And so Gabby Harnett, again, born on 12/20, has the highest WAR of any player born on 12/20, 55.9. Okay. David Wright is the next highest WAR born on today's date, 49.2. So not that big a difference, especially when you consider that Gabby Harnett played for 20 years and Wright only played for 14. Okay. I don't want to take anything away from Gabby Harnett. He played catcher. It's a demanding position. I get it. People are going to look at Hall of Famers and players in general and judge them based on the position that they played. So I know that that comes into play. I get it. But Gabby Harnett is a Hall of Famer. And maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think David Wright is going to be in the conversation for being a Hall of Famer when he's eligible. But yet his WAR is not that far off from a Hall of Famer. Let's talk about some of the other statistics here. So, runs. Gabby Harnett, 867 to David Wright's 949. So even though Harnett played in 415 more games and had roughly, what is this? 500 more at bats. David Wright scored 70, 80 more runs than Harnett did. Harnett does have the advantage for hits, but it's by like 140, 145, something like that. David Wright hit more home runs, 242 to 236. Harnett has the advantage for RBI. But again, it's 209 difference. It's not crazy. Again, I understand Gabby Harnett is a catcher, but stolen bases, he had 28. David Wright, 196. Batting average, Gabby Harnett, 297. David Wright, 296. Slugging, though, David Wright has the advantage, 491 to 489. OPS, David Wright has the advantage, 867 to Harnett's 858. Again, as I've been looking through birthdays and seeing different players, and So it's got me thinking, I will say that. Maybe rant was not the right word, but I've definitely been thinking about players that are in the Hall of Fame and their accomplishments, which I think WAR is a good gauge. But I'm also wondering, while I know how WAR is calculated, and I know that that's consistent among players that played in the 1800s, the early 1900s, the mid 1900s, and today, I'm wondering though if the quality of the other players that played in different time periods is different, which skews the WAR, if that makes any sense at all. Because I find it hard to believe that Gabby Harnett in 20 years has a 55.9 WAR, and he's a Hall of Famer. David Wright in 14 years a 49.2, and I don't see him as a Hall of Famer. I see him as a guy who had a great career that was cut short by injury. David Wright, 7-time All-Star. Gabby Harnett, 6-time All-Star. Harnett has an MVP award. David Wright did not. Okay? So again, I don't want to take anything away from Gabby Harnett, but as I'm looking at different players that played in different eras, WAR sometimes doesn't seem to align, if that makes sense. Anyways, I will leave it at that. I've been rambling here. I do want to give away some cards as I was going through my David Wright stuff. If you stuck around, I've got a couple of dupes of David Wright cards. Leave a comment below. I'm going to randomly pick somebody that comments with your... Yeah, you know what? I do want it to be somebody that stuck around to the end. So leave a comment with either your favorite David Wright card or something about David Wright. And I'll pick a winner and I'll send these 4 cards to. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.